Hey everyone, this is Dr. Matt Dorsey to be precise. As y'all know, I am the CHOC Chief Scientific Officer and Formulator, and we've been doing a lot of these lives lately. They have been a lot of fun. I picked an interesting topic for my first Saturday broadcast today. A little bit paradoxical because we are a company who obviously cares a whole lot about hormonal health, which is absolutely essential. But I do have kind of an important message today I wanted to chat about a little bit. And then, of course, we'll answer some questions as usual. Hey, Phyllis, how you doing? Great to see you, too. Yeah, I've seen you on a lot of these. Very cool. So at the beginning, I'm just going to chat a little bit about hormones and what hormones do and don't do for you, and what they are and are not implicated in, and the complexity of that, and then we'll take a bunch of questions. So, all right, yes, CHOC cares a lot about hormones. I care a lot about hormones. Little plug for our blog. Really cool article y'all might enjoy. I know this is going to appear backwards for you, but the many faces of testosterone. Testosterone is it's really important, right? You know, we have multiple products that help to support healthy testosterone levels, and both men and women need testosterone, right? We're swimming in a sea of fake estrogens. These compounds like BPA, for example, and some of these pesticides, what they do is they bind to your estrogen receptors, right? The technical term for this is XENO, xenoestrogen. So it's spelled with an X, but it's pronounced like a Z, xenoestrogen, right? So one of the reasons that we tend to all be hyperestrogenic, meaning that we are imbalanced, too much estrogen, not enough testosterone to balance it out. That's not good. Is because we are swimming in a sea of fake estrogen mimicking molecules, right? So a lot of people, I recently had somebody reach out to me and this gentleman had some issues with, hey, how's it going? This gentleman had some issues and he seemed to believe that they were all stemming from possibly testosterone, needing support in that area. But while hormones are very, very important, I will tell you also, one thing you want to watch out for is you do not want to oversimplify your health and think that hormones are everything, right? So again, they are very important. We're a company who cares a lot about hormonal health. We put out a lot of products that help to support healthy hormone synthesis, right? Like Shilajit, Tongkat Ali, some of the herbs in Men's Daily, for example, like the Tribulus and the Safed Muesli in Men's Daily. And all of that, right? And the ashwagandha coming up that's going to be dropping soon. Hormones are critical, right? But we tend to think that they are the real cause of our issues, right? So it's like, oh, because I have, maybe insufficient of this hormone, I then have this issue, right? Oversimplification. We tend to hyper-focus on one area and we lose the forest for the trees. So yes, testosterone, very important. All of your hormones are important. Even, as I talk about in that article, this one right here, Many Faces of Testosterone, even women need testosterone and even men need estrogen. Theoretically, it's possible for a man to have estrogen deficiency, right? We need very, very small amounts for normal functionality, but we need some. A lot of people don't know, right? So here's the deal. There is a chain of cause and effect. I want to teach you to think like a practitioner really fast. There's a chain of cause and effect. What we do is when we're looking for solutions for different health, issues to support different areas of health, we start to think, oh, this is the ultimate thing. This is the ultimate cause. It's the hormones, right? But it's a chain of cause and effect. One thing causes another thing, causes another thing, causes another thing, right? So, for example, I was talking about a little bit ago about these fake estrogens that are all around us, right? In all the different plastics and the pesticides and other pollutants. And they are throwing off our hormones, right? But then what's the solution? Well, one of the reasons that it's so important to have healthy detoxification is to rid your body of these compounds, right? So then we're following the chain of cause and effect down until we get to detox. And a toxin in this case that binds to estrogen receptors, that would be more of a prime mover. Prime mover is a way of saying a true ultimate cause. That chemical coming into your body and affecting your hormones, that's a true cause, right? Something that happens all too often though, especially with women, is a woman will go into her doctor And the doctor will say, oh, it's your hormones are out of whack. That's, why you have all this going on, right? But again, what's causing them? What's the issue there? Why do you not have optimal hormones? One of the reasons could be chemicals. Another reason could be stress. A lot of people don't know that stress hormones are have extremely negative effects. They're very deleterious to sex hormones, to your testosterone, your estrogen. Because, put it this way, just think about this biologically, right? The more stressed out you are, the more your body thinks you're in a very threatening environment. And now think about this. If your body thinks you're in a very threatening environment with a lot of potential predators, right? Or maybe, lack of availability of food or water, right? Lack of opportunities to rest and to heal. Is your body going to upregulate or downregulate reproductive behaviors and hormones? So perceived stressors and stress chemistry, stress chemicals, what they do is they basically are telling your body, your biology, this is a threatening environment. It might not be a very good time to have a child. So this is probably a little bit more true for women than men because obviously, the woman is the one who has to actually carry the child. But one thing that's really important to look out for is stress. So one of the reasons that, for example, a lot of these adaptogens, like Tongkat Ali and ashwagandha, why they support healthy hormone levels, one of the mechanisms, one of many, is that they're actually helping to mitigate that stress, the stress chemistry, like the cortisol and the adrenaline. And when you get that stress chemistry optimized, that's actually going to help to support your sex hormone synthesis, your progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, etc. So you always want to think, hey, it's probably more complex than we think it is. If you're trying to optimize your hormones, you want to be thinking about detoxification. You want to be thinking about stress. And when you're thinking about stress is really complex, right? Because you can take adaptogens, right? Like the ones that, we have to support optimal stress chemistry, and that's great. But you also want to be thinking about your lifestyle, Are you abusing coffee? Are you burning the candle at both ends? Are you actually getting proper rest? Are you doing behaviors to help to basically get your mind calm and your stress chemistry down, right? Are you doing meditation or yoga? Are you working out? All those things. They all feed back into your endocrine system and help with hormonal health. That's all super important. Another thing, though, is that a lot of people will say, testosterone is linked to energy levels, right? And so if I have poor energy, it's just all got to be testosterone. No, that is gross oversimplification. If you're trying to optimize your energy, one area to look into, absolutely, very important. Yes, you want to look into having optimal testosterone levels, for men and for women, of course, within the ratio that makes sense, because women need this much testosterone and men need this much, right? But within what's normal for, depending on which sex you are. But at the same time, if you're trying to optimize your energy levels, it's so much more complex than just hormones, than just reproductive hormones. You also have to think about mitochondrial energy production. How well are your cells able to take the calories in the form of either fat, carbohydrate, or protein and convert them to ATP? How well are your cells able to do that, right? And then once again, another big factor there is toxins. If you're a mitochondrial nerd like I am, then you know that a lot of these toxic chemicals floating around in our environment are mitotoxins, mitochondrial poisons, mitotoxic, right? So there are tons of different, there's pharmaceuticals that can be mitotoxins, pesticides, heavy metals, especially mercury, very, very toxic to the mitochondria. Heavy metals are associated with all sorts of issues because they impair mitochondrial function. And again, for those of y'all who, maybe have forgotten, the mitochondria they're the most important part of the cell when it comes to creating energy out of the calories you eat, right? They're not the only part of the cell that does that, but they're the most crucial part, and they have a huge effect on your overall energy levels. They take the food you eat, they take those calories and convert it to ATP. ATP is what's called the primary energy currency of the cell. So let's just, again, using the example of optimal energy levels. we're trying to optimize your energy levels, it's, yeah, for sure. Of course, testosterone, important. Stress chemistry, getting your stress chemistry mitigated, that's important. Looking into mitochondrial energy production, supporting mitochondrial function. Obviously, some of the ingredients that we have in some of our products do support mitochondrial energy production, especially some of the stuff that's in Action 2.0. It's a mitochondrial formula. It's got the Elevate-ATP in there. It's got the rhodiola in there. It's got the B12 in there. Those are all going to work on mitochondrial energy production. But what else is there? Well, boy, howdy. I mean, there's also neurotransmitters. There's dopamine, you know. If you are trying to optimize dopamine, if you're trying to figure out whether you want to support healthy dopamine levels, if you want more motivation in your life, the motivation to go out and do healthy activities like workout, then yeah, dopamine might be something you might want to be taking a look at. So supporting healthy dopamine levels, again, there's also stuff in Action that does that. Mucuna pruriens, that's in Men's Daily, also supports healthy dopamine levels. And like I've said a bunch of times, dopamine, if you want to understand dopamine, it's the first two letters, the D-O, dopamine, do. It's about doing, right? So it helps you do. It's about basically motivation and focus. And also, it's part of what's called the reward system, or the dopamine reward system. So your body essentially learns to give you a nice shot of dopamine whenever you do something that you have learned is beneficial for you. So in other words, it's all about helping you care about certain things that you have learned are important, and you get a nice shot of dopamine when you do things that you are told are important, you value. So what else about energy levels? Well, immune system, supporting a healthy inflammation response. The immune system feeds into everything else in the body, and ultimately those inflammatory pathways, they influence everything else. So I can't get quite too medical here because there's kind of a line of what I can talk about and not talk about. So I have to be very careful how I word this. But supporting a healthy inflammation response, right? Very, very important for energy levels. Very, very important for mood, to support healthy mood. And part of that is also making sure your immune system is functioning optimally to keep your total body microbiome in balance. So I use microbiome with a capital M, not a lowercase m. So let me introduce you to the real microbiome. Let's go down this rabbit hole for a second. This is going to be fun. So microbiome, most people when they talk about it, they're just talking about just the gut, just the microbes in your intestines, right? And sure, yeah, you have trillions and trillions of different, microorganisms, primarily bacteria, but you have all other things, fungi, and even viruses in your GI tract, yes. But most people don't know your entire body is actually filled with all sorts of different microorganisms. So the real microbiome is everywhere. Your blood is not sterile. You have microorganisms in your blood. You have 500 different species of bacteria just in your saliva. There are viruses in the brain, very, very common. And again, are these all bad? No, we have just a collection. So I'm not even talking about ones that are bad per se, but I'll just put it this way. Your overall vitality, you have to link it back to whether or not your total microbiome is kept in balance. And that links back also to your immune system. And so supporting healthy immune function, very important to keep your microbiome in balance, which then supports a healthy inflammation response, which then has all sorts of effects on your overall vitality, energy levels, and mood. So everything's connected. So I want to teach you basically to think like me, right? So as an integrative practitioner, I see every system as connected. The way the body actually works is it's this really complex web of different systems that all talk to each other, right? So again, going back to the original theme, people overemphasize hormones. They're very important, but they're one part of the equation, Just look at all the other systems in play. Detoxification system, right? Getting the bad stuff out that could affect all sorts of different areas. Mitochondrial energy production, making sure that your body is actually able to efficiently produce energy to keep all your organs running in an optimal way, which also relates to healthy blood sugar regulation, by the way. So mitochondrial health and blood sugar health, very, very much linked. let's see what else. So yeah, healthy inflammation response, immune system, they all feed into each other. They all do. So it's just really important to know that we have greatly oversimplified things. But that being said, the hormones are super important. We know that the overall way that we behave and the way that we see the world, right? Like, yes, we are, I believe, and I'm sure many of y'all believe, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And if you don't believe that, that's fine too. You know, I'm not here to talk philosophy or metaphysics per se, you know, but I do believe that personally. And I think that a lot of y'all probably do as well, right? So, but we are having a physical experience, you know. So yes, we are, I believe, transcendent beings, and I do believe in the spiritual component of things. I think that is our ultimate reality. But it's a paradox, though, because the more, as a person who believes in these things, metaphysics and spirituality, the more that you understand your physiology and how limited you are by your physiology, the better your soul can even express through your body, interestingly enough. So once you realize your limitations on a physical level and you profoundly understand the physicality, the biology that your spirit is moving through, the better you're able to actually express your higher self into the world, right? So you have to kind of realize how limited you are, in a sense, by your physiology. So anyway, it's just waxing metaphysical there for a second. But yeah, so long story short, it's always more complex than you think. And if anybody out there is oversimplifying. So here's another example of oversimplification. A lot of people are all about the gut now, and they think that every single chronic thing, you know, or every issue has to do with gut health, right? And sure, you know, gut's important, right? Gut's where you digest your food, right? We have a whole bunch of different pathways that connect our gut to our brain. There's the whole gut-brain axis, right? Our gut to our immune system, gut-associated lymphoid tissue, right? We have the lymphatic system, the immune system that interfaces with the gut. Very, very important. But the gut is not everything. Anytime somebody picks one system, one area to hyper-focus on and thinks everything is about that, that's a red flag. You know? So it's good to get expert information from somebody who just focuses on one area, like hormones, for example. But again, oversimplification. We live in a society where everyone is hyper specializing in something, where they're just like zooming in on one piece of bark on one kind of tree, and they can't even see the whole tree, let alone the forest, right? And I'm more of a generalist. I'm not a specialist. I prefer to be more of a generalist. There's certain things I do specialize in, but when it comes to studying health, natural health, and all this stuff, I am a generalist. So I always do my best to try to zoom out, right? Even if I'm zoomed in studying one area, I'm always asking, what does this mean for the whole forest, right? So y'all should also, if you can, when you're trying to figure out how to optimize different areas of your health, always try to think outside the box and try to think, okay, how does this fit into the grand context of everything else, right? So if you focus too much on just gut stuff, then zoom out, look at other systems. If you're focusing too much just on hormone stuff, zoom out, look at neurotransmitters, right? Look at the immune system, look at supporting healthy inflammation response. So many different areas, right? And of course, you know, there's the biological area of when it comes to mood, right? Of just neurotransmitters, hormones, right? And then there's the more psychological area of like, are you able to actually express yourself in your relationships, right? Do you have positive human relationships with other people, right? Are you engaging in behaviors on a daily basis that are having a negative effect on your emotions, or on your ability to express your emotions, right? So there's all that too, and that's all totally real. So basically, you know, I'm kind of, again, more of a generalist, more of a Renaissance man. I like to look at things from as many angles as possible. And the more that you guys train yourselves to do this, the better you will be able, the better equipped you will be able to be to support as many different systems in your body as you can to achieve optimal health. But then also, you won't be content anymore to just stay in one area. You know, there's so many different angles you can view your health with. So many different angles, you know. So if you're looking at it from this angle, rotate. Look at it from this angle. Look at it from this angle. right? Without driving yourself too crazy, obviously. But there's many, many different angles you can look at stuff from. And there's also that whole concept of the chain of cause and effect, and the way one thing causes another, right? So, for example, let's say somebody, breaks their leg or something, right? And it's just a simple, just broke your leg, just got to be out for a few weeks, right? But then as a result of breaking their leg, then let's just call him Steve. So Steve breaks his leg, right? Then all of a sudden, he's not moving anymore. So his blood's not circulating, right? So now he's got kind of impaired, circulation. Circulation is not optimal, right? He's not exercising, so that's having an effect on his cells. Just, his overall metabolism starts going down. He's not getting enough oxygen to his cells, right? And then let's say because of that, he gets just kind of bummed out and he just starts eating a bunch of junk food, right? So now his nutrition's also gone down, right? And let's say also that all of his buddies he played soccer with, and that was his main way that he socially interacted with people, right? Was just by playing soccer, and he can't play soccer anymore. So now he's also kind of lonely, So there's all these different factors, right? It went from just a simple broken leg to broken leg plus lack of exercise, poor nutrition, lack of socializing, right? And then that simple broken leg has become something that has affected him on multiple different levels. And so one thing has caused a bunch of other things, right? It's just kind of mushroomed out into all these different issues. So again, I like to teach other people to try to think like a practitioner, try to think like me, right? Try to see how everything is linked to something else and how everything is ultimately related, So obviously for somebody like Steve, clearly just, being able to walk again is really helpful to go back to normal life. But at the same time, if you can't do that, then you have to intervene and be like, all right, no more junk food. We need you to actually reach out and talk to some people on the phone so you're not super lonely anymore, do other positive things. Stop playing video games 8 hours a day, whatever it takes, That's another thing too is, just going to go off on a tangent about media diet. Media diet's really important. We consume all sorts of different things on different levels. So you have your actual diet of the food that you consume, right? Which also includes, supplements and all that, right? The things that you actually take into your body, into your gut as nutrition. But then there's also your media diet. What kinds of media are you consuming on a regular basis, right? So if you're somebody who's listening to this right now, who's watching this rather, then you're probably fairly conscious, and there's probably really cool stuff that you do watch on a regular basis. And there's nothing wrong with just watching something stupid on Netflix and just vegging out or whatever, here and there, right? But if you're consuming, if you're watching really, really depressing news 10 hours a day, right? Or you're just vegging out, watching random stuff on, streaming random stuff online all day long, things like that, or just playing video games 24/7, that has a real effect on your health, an actual, real, measurable effect on your health. That will have effects on all sorts of things. So, and then obviously everything you consume goes into your subconscious and stays there as well. So that's another thing to be aware of is what are you putting into your unconscious, And again, I'm not some kind of purist who's like, hey, you can't go watch an action movie or some kind of dumb reality show here and there or whatever. I know probably most of you guys don't watch reality TV, but whatever. Yeah, and video games are awesome. Play some video games. Of course, I'm not against video games at all. I'm just saying an excessive amount, right? If you're playing them 8 or 10 hours a day, that's a problem. If you're streaming random reality TV 10 hours a day, that's a problem, obviously. That's going to have a significant negative impact on your mental and eventually also your physical health as well. So take a look at your media diet. What kinds of media are you consuming? I've gone through periods where I've just gone down way too many dark rabbit holes researching the way things actually work, as I'm sure a lot of you guys who watch Shane Connecting Consciousness, you guys are aware of a lot of this stuff, and that's not my job to go into all that. I'll let Shane handle that kind of stuff, but I'm aware of all that. I know what's going on in the world. It's totally insane what's actually happening. And the kind of powers that exist and how they operate, right? And I've had plenty of times in my life when I've gone down these rabbit holes researching this kind of stuff, and it's just been kind of a nightmare, So that itself also, we need to take breaks from that. It's good to learn about how the world works and to research all this stuff, and to, go on InfoWars or wherever you like to go to read about this stuff. But there's that also for your own, and I'll just say from personal experience, from my mental and physical health, you also need to take breaks from that as well, because that will also drive your stress hormones up. And you have to be really aware that stress chemistry has major impacts on your total vitality. And if you want to have optimal testosterone levels, if you want to have optimal stress chemistry, mood, energy levels, you have to be aware of your media diet and when you're over consuming certain things that can have a negative effect on your stress chemistry, your neurotransmitters, your hormones, by basically driving up that sympathetic nervous system activation, right? Because it's a stressful time to be a human right now. The last year or so with everything that's been going on is absolutely insane. And it's definitely one of those, researching these things becomes more like an abyss. Brian, yeah, you are 100% accurate. Yeah, 100%. So again, and I know y'all probably, a lot of you guys all research this stuff, and it's great to research this. It's important to be informed. It really is. So you don't want to have your head in the sand and pretend like everything's okay, because, it's kind of not. A lot of ways, it's good to spread awareness and where you can, good to learn, but you got to take breaks. Sometimes you got to turn off the InfoWars and put on the stand-up comedy. You know what I mean? You have to just chill out and just forget about all that stuff for a little bit. Go off on another tangent here. Did you know that there is a positive forgetting system that's actually helpful in your brain, and it's actually called the endocannabinoid system. So one of the functions of the ECS, endocannabinoid system, right, which is your brain's endogenous cannabis-like compounds, right? The main one's called the anandamide, the bliss molecule. The other one's called 2-AG. Part of the function of that system is forgetting, right? And when you have a lack of forgetting, you have a too much remembering over and over and over again, right? So some of the, the reason that some people use external cannabinoids from the hemp plant, whether it be CBD or, other ones, is because there's a certain amount of forgetting that's actually helpful, right? Being exposed to really traumatic things that hit you really hard, that tends to increase neural pathways that tend to overfire and remind you over and over and over again of this bad thing, this scary thing that happened. And that endocannabinoid system, one of its functions is to actually counteract that so that you don't have an excessive amount of remembering and reliving these bad, scary things that happened to you. So that's another take on it, just FYI. And by the way, if you're interested in learning about that and cannabinoids and how they affect consciousness, Dr. Ethan Russo is awesome. He's a medical doctor. He's kind of like, just like the cannabis doctor guru. So if you want to learn about CBD and terpenes and all that kind of stuff, Ethan Russo is awesome. ETHAN, Ethan Russo, RUSSO, MD. He's fantastic. Anyway, just a little tangent there. It's kind of fun, just kind of going all over the place. But I think I'm actually going to finish up here in a second. I might answer a couple of questions though. So let's see if there's any ones that came through. Thanks, Phyllis. I'm glad you're digging it. Yeah. All right. Let's see what else. What have we got? Anything interesting? Okay. Is Steve here? LOL, that's funny. Appreciate these lives, Matt. Thanks, Mindfully Awoken. Glad you're digging it. Somebody was asking about energy levels. Yeah, well, if you're talking about chalk products, Action 2.0 is going to be one of our best for energy. And that one, the standard dose is 3 capsules, but you could take up to 6 at once if you have something important going on, like you need mental or physical energy for. Shilajit, fantastic for energy. It supports mitochondrial energy production. Tongkat 100, Tongkat Ali, also really good. It's called Malaysian ginseng. That's another adaptogen that helps with energy levels, helps with stress chemistry, helps with positive hormone synthesis, or healthy hormone synthesis rather. And then for men, also Chalk Daily is fantastic for that as well. And then we do have an ashwagandha coming out in just a little bit. By the way, just FYI guys, If you're not aware, our blog has tons of amazing content on it, and we also have a YouTube channel now. So if you go to YouTube and you type in Chalk Nation, that'll pop up. Also, if you go to chalk.com and just scroll down, go to on the homepage, it'll have featured videos section. We've only got about 6 videos up there right now, but we're going to have a lot more in the future. And then if you go to chalk.com/blog, you can type in any of these different topics. You can type in mood, stress, testosterone, whatever you want. And we have a ton of different blogs written by me and also another guy who works for us who's awesome named Jonathan. So check out our blog as well. And then we do have some stuff coming out later this year. We're going to be releasing more products later this year. So if you want to get the best deal on any products that are being released, just make sure that you are signed up for our email list. So if you just go to chalk.com and scroll down at the very bottom, you'll have an opportunity to sign up for the email list. And we always give the best deals right as new products come out. We usually will give like 60% off or something like that. So make sure you sign up for all that stuff. So, all right, I am going to head out now. Oh, someone likes the heirloom cacao beans. That's awesome. Yeah. Big fan of those beans. They're fantastic. I'm going to head out. It was a lot of fun talking with you guys. I will definitely see you again soon. Hope you have an excellent weekend, and see you next time.